Okay. It always goes by so quickly when we have a lot of stuff to say.
Yes, and very excited to start season 2 of Take Care Europe.
Yeah. It's we wanted to have a different setting this time. Maybe level up because we have a lot of new ideas for Take Care Europe and what's to come, and so we wanted to have a different focus. So I'm glad to be here.
And I'm actually super excited about the dynamic that we have created with Take Care. It's quite amazing. Actually, the first season, it was 15,000 in about a year. And I understand in the last month or couple of months, the momentum really sped up. And maybe Auguste, I let you, share the news with our auditors.
Yeah, you talk about 15,000. It's an interesting number because that's views. And I'd say it's very tough to start a YouTube channel. I hear all about it, and I watch quite a bit of YouTube videos, and I know that it's an interesting platform. I always wanted, and as we said in the last video, I wanted to start this podcast because I really wanted to show everyone the interesting conversations that we have offline. And that's why we started with an interesting setting in our offices, something very handcrafted by us. And coming here is the next step. I think this setting is beautiful. But we started slow. We tried publishing as many videos as we want. We're right now closing on 100 videos. But in the recent months, I've noticed with all the tools AI presents to us that visibility is an interesting part of developing your channel. And so, yeah, as you said, we're closing in on 5,000 views in the last month. And I want to keep this momentum and try and reach certain objectives in terms of visibility. And I think that's one of the first points I wanted to talk to you about is visibility. And I think it comes with having a very nice set like this. What do you think should be attainable objective for our YouTube channel when we're talking about these very interesting subjects?
Look, the first objective for us, as we discussed, is make sure we fit to our auditors' interest, and that's why I'm actually very excited. 15,000 in a year, 5,000 the last month. I mean, it shows a very strong dynamic. So obviously you can do the math what it means in 12 months. But I guess 100,000 as an objective for the coming year is a nice one. That's why we raise actually the level of quality, this setting. We also have actually a number of nice podcasts being planned with people we want to talk to on different themes. Maybe I'll start with the coming big show that are happening in Paris. The digital health conference that you can see. SantExpo is coming soon, and then as always, this is in Paris. And then we have always our setup also in Belgium. We have Knowledge for Growth coming up also in Antwerpen in beginning of June. So these are the coming very big one. And then of course by the end of June we'll get VivaTech. So busy next 2 months on this conference. But then obviously I'm not forgetting the podcast with a few very nice speakers on themes that we are very fond of. That are being planned.
A lot of new ideas. Continuing on this aspect of showcasing conferences, but maybe I wanted to get your ideas. We talk all about new things. Maybe we can put out a little sneak peek on what's coming for this second season.
Yes, actually, it's all about continue rising the quality because obviously you have many many topics, many podcasts, and so on. I mean, this one we really want to make sure this is a unique positioning. It's definitely a position internationally. Yes, it's about France. Yes, it's about Belgium, but it's definitely international. With our activities, we're gonna have a bit of a view on Asia with a Singapore chapter, and then of course the US one. So definitely this one very differentiating. That's one big topic that I can put here on the table, and then maybe you can share also on your side.
Yeah, it's true. You talk about countries, and I think what we've showed a lot is trying to get into this Europe identity. But a lot of innovation in health tech is happening all around the world. I think one of the terms that I really enjoyed that you used recently is take care global. And I think it's kind of this aspect of trying to bring out the innovation that we have here in Europe and all around the world and trying to showcase it. We are not limiting ourselves to Europe. And I think that's one of the biggest news for this year. We wanna get some stories about founders, about innovations, about partnerships that are coming this year. So I guess one of the conversations I wanted to have to you about is why, because I think that's one of the biggest points. Is we want to grow, we want to have interesting guests on our podcast, but why would it be interesting for them to come on here? And I think that's one of the reasons why we want to continue this show. We want to go for a bigger, better, and stronger season 2, while still working on our projects. So yeah, I think tech going globally is one of the aspects, but also I think one of the things that people want to hear is our points of view of what's going on in the health tech space. And so picking out different subjects to focus on and maybe going in a bit deeper with both of our expertise, having these kind of quick-fire questions and having a different focus is going to be interesting. So maybe we can jump into this why aspect of what we're continuing to do.
Yeah, look, why global? Why international? I mean, definitely that's who we are. We are both Belgium. You're Belgium and French, so this is very natural. We've been living a lot, obviously, across Europe. Mm-hmm. We have one family member in UK, in London, and we lived in Copenhagen. So definitely Europe is very natural. And then same thing with Singapore and US. I mean, these are also two regions where we live. There is a lot happening there. So it's natural that we also cover these because it brings some very interesting insights to our auditors. There is another reason for that is we've been talking about different investment that we have been making with Balas Invest. And definitely the companies we invested in, they are also going global or international. So it's very natural to follow them and see what's happening. Mm-hmm. And then 3, we have different themes that we're very interested in. AI in drug discovery. I'm a very fan of these. How AI is accelerating drug discovery in the space, and of course, this one naturally is a global matter. Same thing with AI in digitized clinical trials. One topic. I think the second topic I want to put on the table here is robotics. Robotics for medical use, exoskeleton. Robotics for industrial use, humanoids, and then maybe in the future for personal use at home. Second topic that I'm very fan of. And then the third one I'll put on the table is quality aging. Quality aging, there is a lot happening. But what we can provide here to people in terms of support is change scale. Now with AI, digital tools, app, and so on, you don't need anymore just an army of people, but digital tools can really help you do a lot and actually provide service and support to people remotely and so on. And actually, these third topics, that's also the third one I'd like to develop. And of course, in France, in Belgium, in Europe, and then internationally, I think it's going to be very insightful for you, our auditors.
It's true, very interesting subjects. And I guess the first question that comes to mind when we talk about all of these solutions, I've noticed that a lot more experts have told me that ideas are not the thing that will help you grow. It's execution. And I know that with the development of AI, anybody can create their idea. And so execution is so important in the different ecosystems that are available globally. And we notice that especially in Europe. Quality aging is a big problematic all across the world because of better healthcare systems. People grow older, but also a lot more people are in this kind of category and age group. We did have on our podcast one of those solutions that we invested in, which is called Monka. Mm-hmm. And working with them for quite a bit of time, we noticed that it's very important to get the right execution to continue scaling. And we noticed that because some of their competitors have focused their energy on having this human aspect, but when you want to scale, you need more humans. And that's where AI and the digital space comes into play. I think all of these aspects, when you talk about AI, I think when some of us want to know also is when it comes to investment, how do you see which actor is going to be better than the other? Investments is kind of a tough area to play in. So why these subjects? I mean, there's so many stuff that you can do with this technology. Maybe we can focus a bit on why we decided to jump into these specific fields.
Yeah, I think this one is a very important question, and of course you can take it from many different angles. Here we made the choice to focus on important questions for the future, and obviously drug discovery is an important one. Robotics is another one, and then quality aging. If we focus on quality aging, first look at the demographics. It's very clear that with the year coming, not in 50 years, in the next 5 years and then 10 years, the number of people above 60 are going to exceed the number of people below 20, mm-hmm. And then the need for support will increase. So demographically, the need is immense. Second, obviously, the tools that we have at our disposal opens a lot of new possibilities. Mm. It's very interesting. You talked about human and some people who made the choice to actually just have models where they hire more people. It's very interesting with the tools that we have available. We can deliver digital tools to support people, many more people that are above 60, but we're going to keep the human touch. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. Is the cocoon supporting people, the specific approach that will be tailored and personalized. This is now possible with all these digital tools. So digital, reaching a lot more people, a lot more affordable. I think second, the human touch, because people want to make sure you adapt to their specific situation. And this implies that we made a number of choices, with the team of this company on the business model. Mm-hmm. We really decided not to just try to replace the existing structure, hire a lot of people and have difficulty to find the right people and try to duplicate or do the same. We really said, where can we add value to the system? And that's really deciding to really rely on these digital tools that are now available, rely on AI that makes a lot more possible in terms of personalization, very clear. And then the other thing that we did and that the company did, it was really a choice of the founder, is focus on the caregiver. You know, in most countries in Europe, US, and also Asia, it's the caregiver that provides a lot of the support that maybe the state, the setup, the environment cannot support. So we said if we manage to provide support to the caregiver, maybe that's the key to the solution. It's very excited to see where we are after 3 years. I mean, we start to see that this is taking huge momentum. And as you said, that's obviously with this company, Monka, MONKA, that is actually providing tremendous support to people for the moment in France, but then in the future also internationalizing.
It seems like your very professional aspect of seeing things, and I wanted to maybe get your insight on if there is a more personal reason why you decided to invest in these things.
You know, it's a good question. Of course, you always think about maybe also yourself in the future. You know, what kind of support you would love to get around you for when it's gonna come. So that's one. And two, also you'd like to see for your own family. Is it something that can be useful at some point? You know, and it's your family, it's people around you. Can be your parents, and in the future it can be your family, the other members, and then maybe at some point also friends. Mm-hmm. To be honest, it started first with friends who had different situations like this and had difficulty to find the right support. And then I could observe also with my own mother, and here it's a bit of a special situation because we managed to find a good solution to take care of her. But maybe here, I got also a few lessons, which is the sooner you can plan for it, the better. The reality is that you always plan for it too late, or quite late. When the need is there, you need an immediate solution. But to plan in advance, you need a bit of a prior notice. So it's better to plan in advance.
But people don't necessarily want to think about these kind of...
Exactly. But the fact is, the more you plan in advance, the less eventful it is. And the more you plan in advance, the better you can manage and keep everybody in much better shape, which means you actually at some point need less acute care and so on and so forth. So plan in advance. I think too, you need to prioritize. When you don't know, you tend to try to get the whole list of possible support you may need. Yep. And actually you don't always need everything, I think the third thing is care, physicians and so on. The reality in Europe is that the availability of doctors and healthcare professionals is going to decrease. Yep. So it's important to prioritize them. And it's better to basically identify them early enough so that you can build relationship with them and have them available when you need them. Many physicians, healthcare professionals don't take new patients these days, So if you look for them when you need them, it's very difficult. If you have them in advance, then you can have also relationship. And then maybe the last thing I would say is that every situation is very personal. So, that's also why I insisted on that. And what I like with Monka is that it's not a standard support that they propose to people. It's a very personalized one. Mm-hmm. But then, Auguste, you asked me a lot of questions. Maybe you have been also working, interacting a lot with Monka. What has been striking to you? I mean, in what they develop, what do you like the most and you think is really making a difference?
I think as a entrepreneur or freelance, the thing that you don't get a lot of the chance to do is build a team. And I think the first thing I would mention about this company or other companies that I and we have worked with is the team solid and can it deliver on the promise that it made? I think that was the biggest part, because when we do something digital but with this human aspect, you always want to have a big team so that people know that they have someone they can rely on. But creating a tool like this on AI, using all of this technology, how do you implement the human aspect at very important parts of the procedure? So I think that was one thing that has been difficult, but I think they've done really well to put people in the right places to help the business grow. And I've had a very nice time working with all of them. But I think if we not only focus on them, but also other companies inside our investment pool, I would say, as they are all startups, smaller teams work best, because you know that you can rely on everyone, or you know that everybody is doing the work that they can, doing the best that they can, because there's obviously so much good work to do. So I think that's the first aspect. The team spirit, the team building of any great CEO is clearly one of the big pillars of creating a business. And I think the second most important is spending quality time when doing your work, because you want to do so much. You have to spend the time that you need on the most important aspects. You can diverge a lot into aesthetics, because I've worked a lot on apps and websites. You want to focus on the design, but the content and the value is more important. You want to spend a lot of time on having the best technology, but when you're in healthcare, having hospitals, or, because we're in France, public institution integrate your solution inside their systems, it has to be as easy as possible. And you talked a lot about the fact that the population of doctors is also getting older. You have to be able to sell them your solution, and it be the easiest possible for them to integrate it in their everyday routine. And I think that's one of the aspects that was a big focus of Monca, but also all the other companies that have an app or try and use a tool to implement kind of their vision. So it's kind of all over the place in terms of what you have to do to get in front of other people. I'd say, because I'm also trying to elevate my business from being just a freelance to maybe one day starting my own project. It's important to focus on these pillars. You can't get everything right from the beginning, but you have to try. So I think that's kind of how I would see the landscape of starting a business and executing it all the way through.
So you said the team, and it's very clear that Etienne Lerberghe, the CEO of Monca, has really paid a lot of attention putting together the team, but also very interesting as the company keeps evolving and growing, you also need to make the team evolve, you know, and add people to the team, sometimes also replace people that maybe were good for a certain stage and then maybe less good for the next stage. That's something that definitely has done very well. There is actually another topic that is also important for these is defining and developing the right offer. And maybe in the first steps, there was a bit of a discovery, prioritization of what is really relevant and needed, answering actually the question of what do you sell, so that it's very clear. I think now he has come to something that is extremely compelling. Selling a diagnostic, selling actually a personalized consultation with a nurse. The Monca nurse who knows really very well the service and can make sure that the diagnostic has been well done and so on. And then 3 is actually defining an ecosystem to take care of the caregiver and the family members. So really kind of 3 offers that are really very well targeted to the needs. And what is good is that people can actually start with one component, the diagnostic, and then progressively go up as they experiment the value of it. So I think this second one has been very, very smart, and more than being smart in a room, actually smart listening to the people, the caregivers and the doctors and the nurse and people in this ecosystem who helped him and the team actually define and fine-tune the offer. I think it was very impressive work actually done over the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, one of the important aspects of apps like these, and we can also mention a company like Eloa that we invest in, I think, and I wanted to talk a little bit with you about that, is this whole aspect of questionnaire. We build an entire ecosystem on the app personalized to a certain person just based on a series of questions. There is a scientific way of doing it when we try and relate it as much as possible to a doctor consultation, which usually lasts 30 minutes. How can we simplify the consultation so that if a person answers a certain number of questions, we get the entirety of the profile and we can suggest personalized questions? And a lot of the healthcare apps do that. We notice this kind of system with fitness and a lot of the apps where we construct an ecosystem to provide a service. But when it comes to healthcare, every situation is different. So how do we construct a questionnaire that's interesting for both better services, and also the person who answers the questions can say, oh, the app is thinking of me and adapts to my situation perfectly. And that's, I think, one of the big problematics that we've faced working with these companies. And we've noticed AI as a tool can make a big difference.
Yeah. You know, if we stick to Monka, what is good is that the company has been taking things step by step. I mean, not trying to go to step 5 or let's say a new app every month with new ideas coming. I mean, they've been really focused on, I would say, an initial app that was a bit general. I think now they're going to launch, I would say, the next version, which is going to be a lot more personalized.
Yeah, very excited for that.
A lot more interactive.
Yeah.
And you told me, I mean, really creating this cocoon, personalized environment for people to get into that, you know, with like the diagnostic, the interaction with the nurse, and then the ecosystem to basically take care of them, which I think is quite exciting. Of course, I anticipate as you know, they're gonna experiment for the rest of 26. You know, people getting in and the feedback. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they'll get with new requests, new ideas, and they will then improve the app. But I think this next version will really create, I think, an impressive momentum. So watch for it, because I think it's Monka.care is actually coming soon in terms of app, which is what, My Monka, or is it what is going to be the name?
I think they're changing the name to make it more simple and relatable to the name. So I think it'll just be Monka.
Monka, very nice. I mean, at least no confusion, and people don't look for My Monka or Monka Care on the App Store. So maybe if we move to another topic and talking about a little bit about robotics, you know, that's also an interesting one. So maybe you can start from your perspective about why is this an important topic to focus on? Why is it so important in healthcare? As we focus on digital health, and what is the whole development and potential going forward?
I think when we first talk about robotics, we do not think about digital health or health tech. I think it's more what we see and what's communicated about robotics. And I just thinking about the last video I saw about a robot, which is Boston Dynamics. They've really focused on trying to make it resemble as much as possible to humans. And the latest video I saw was the robot dancing and having really smooth movements. I think in terms of innovation on the robot itself, we're talking more about aesthetics or manufacturing, because we wanted to apply to a very specific application. And that's where one of the aspects comes into play regarding health tech. The company we can mention inside our investment pool is Wondercraft. Mm-hmm. And I think they've done an excellent job in executing their idea, but also communicating about the impact that it can have. As they got their FDA approval, I think a couple of years ago, or maybe last year, I'm not so sure. I've seen
a few years ago for Atalante, for Eve, they are working on it.
Okay, yeah, and I've seen an article on Atalante X, which is a founder of a neuro company in the US posting about Wondercraft because they wanted to create some kind of partnership. And I saw that this founder is actually in a wheelchair because of a spine injury. And coming to meet Wondercraft, this founder wanted to test their Atalante because they're like, I wanna see what it can do. And they tested it. They could walk, sit to stand, walk around, turn around, bend over to pick something up from a table. And I think one of these days, these simple tasks will be kind of general. But I think right now, when we focus on the simple things that it can do and the incredible impact that it can have on someone who knows that they're going to spend their life in a wheelchair, what I find so interesting is they're not focused so much on what the robot can do, but just the fact that, for example, they mentioned I can now talk to people eye to eye instead of having them look down on me, which can have a profound, I think, physical and emotional impact on how people spend their day. So I think a company like Wondercraft definitely has the place to have real human impact and a real world evidence into why people should start using it. And so I think there's going to be two problematics for Wondercraft: getting a reasonable price so that it can start to expand and generalize its use across the population. Because I think right now the price is around, it's kind of a big price. I think it's 20,000 for the big one, but in certain settings. And I know
it's the big one is 200,000.
200. Wow. Okay. And there's a one where you could possibly take it back home, which is still kind of a big piece of hardware, but it's starting to get more and more accessible. And I think having the vision to see that maybe in 5 and 10 years, you could, after a consultation or after a medical procedure, you could have the option to take home this exoskeleton to help you walk. I think it's going to change real lives.
It's quite interesting. Obviously, the Atalante is the rehabilitation, the one you use in an hospital or rehabilitation center. Eve is more the home version. In the US, it's going to be reimbursed around 100,000 US, I think 90 to 110 through Medicare. So this is obviously it's going to be a big plus when it gets approved, planned for approval this year. So it's going to be actually a big plus for patients. It's also very interesting as they looked at, how do they deliver, obviously, benefit to the healthcare system and to the patients, and very clearly, if you have a home version and you see the benefit you can get as an individual in terms of health, quality of health, quality of living, and so on. I mean, definitely the justification of the value for money for this price is no doubt. Definitely no doubt. They anticipate that the demand will be quite significant. And of course, the idea is that when you use it at home, you can cook, you can walk in your home, you can sit, you can clean up, arrange. So it's going to get a much, let's say, better quality of life. It's never going to be normal life, but at least the number of things you'll be able to do are going to get, I would say, many more that maybe some people used to do in their normal life before an accident, and before they went into being in a wheelchair all the time.
It's very different from the idea I had from when I was a little kid, which is a robot's going to be there and it's going to do stuff for you. Wondercraft, what it does is it gives back agency to people who thought they lost it. Mm-hmm. Agency, I mean, you kind of can do what you want when you thought you couldn't. And I think it's a very different aspect from having a robot do everything for you while you sit in your chair. And I think the comparison I used once we were at a table with all these robots coming out, you would think that you would end up like the humans in WALL-E, just sat there with a chair that moves. Everything comes to you. You don't have to do anything. I think it has a profound value to give humans back their agency.
And you touch back, this important point of why we invested in Wondercraft. Of course, there is a clear fit with the founding team, the CEO, and the team, and I like working with them, interacting with them. I think too, the approach of Wondercraft has been very unique in the robotics world. Mm-hmm. The fact that they started from these medical exoskeleton is very unique. It started obviously from personal situation from the founders, having family member, that had maladie de Charcot in French, which is ALS. So, and the desire to help their family member to walk again, mm-hmm. which was quite a task, maybe a daunting task, but a promise made by the founders to their family member. Took them, let's say, 10 years plus to make it work. But the biggest challenge to manage the equilibrium of the exoskeleton, obviously, you and I, when we walk, we stabilize ourselves all the time. And when you are into an exo, the exo has to do that. But the fact that they had to do that for 10 years, obviously, transporting people up to 100 kilo is giving them a unique advantage in the quality of the AI and what it can do. And now that they started the humanoid business, first they were able to get the first version of Kelvin, the humanoid, in just 40 days, building on the technology and the hardware that they had from Atalante. And the other thing also that is very impressive, it gives them a unique global advantage in terms of being able to take a heavy payload, 25 kilo on a, let's say, a sustained basis, 40 kilo on a one-time basis, which is very unique compared to their competitors, which definitely, I mean, coming back to why we invested, I mean, we like to invest on this problem that are going to be big problem that we need to resolve and we want to resolve. Mm-hmm. We also like to invest in companies that have different approach, different angle. We don't just, invest into average mainstream, but we look for these differentiated ones. And we had the intuition that this one is obviously taking the path. It was not necessarily obvious or a done deal 2 years ago, but now obviously getting on this very strong dynamic. Last year has been an acceleration with the Renault partnership. announcing now that they're going to deploy 350 humanoid over the next 18 months. So it's really getting into this scale-up phase. So I'm very excited about what's coming.
Yeah, we had the pleasure I had the pleasure of meeting him quite recently, and I think by the time this podcast come out, we'll maybe have released our special in Singapore, and I would love for people to see that they did start with an exoskeleton. They realized that it was getting traction. Bigger companies were interested, but with a more focused application in manufacturing. And their experiences showed that it has a lot of value of adapting this technology to specific fields. So I can't wait for everyone to see what we did over there and the incredible ecosystem that they are going to enter in this part of Asia, which is super interesting. I think I really wanted to get into a maybe more targeted, specific part of robotics. There are a lot of companies that are doing robots right now, and we decided to invest in Wondercraft because of this health tech aspect. I think my question would be, where do you see Wondercraft going in the future? Not more 1 or 2 years, because we kind of have insights, but where do you see companies like this with a focus on helping humans? Where can we see it going in a couple of years? I wanted to talk about that because we know a lot of what robots could possibly do because of, Hollywood and all of that stuff. But what aspect kind of do you see in this field? We're sticking to robotics.
It's going to be very interesting to see how the medical exo and the humanoid are going to feed each other in terms of innovation. The fact of having a foot in each segment actually is helping the other. As we said, medical exo for the techno, but then humanoid in terms of scaling, in terms of production capacity, in terms of technology, innovation, support of a big partner like Renault. There is clearly this let's say cross-pollination, and I'm really eager to continue seeing one feeding and helping the other segment. So that's definitely one element. Two, robotics is a race. Is a race of innovation and a race of scaling, and obviously taking market share. Because obviously you have a number of players that have taken different angle on how they do that. As we said, Wondercraft has taken the angle from medical exo to humanoid and then the cross-pollination, but it's a race. The Chinese are going fast, the Americans are going fast, and Wondercraft has been able to go fast so far. They need to continue the race. It's a bit of a sprint marathon for the next 10, 15 years. So that's the second piece that is going to be important. How do you make sure you run the race? And as you run the race, how do you get into areas that are going to actually stimulate you to go faster? It's very clear that when you operate in Asia, you're going to be continuously stimulated by competition. And that's obviously the critical element of these, and I definitely look forward. And as you run the race, I think there will be technological innovation that are going to continue. The brain-computer interface. The whole technology of managing these will be important. And then the third element that I also really like about Wondercraft is that it's a very applied company. Meaning they are very interested and focused on use case. They are not focused on nice video and dance and New Year, whatever show and so on and so forth. They are really focusing on application. What is relevant today or in the near future for their customers, working on it, and then developing it step by step to do more.
Yep.
And I think this one is also what differentiates them. They want things that are very concrete. That's why they managed to get Renault on board. Very demanding customer. Obviously, they also have a number of challenges, and they definitely, I'm sure, count on Wondercraft to help them address these challenges. So the bar is very high, and it's because of their focus on use case, that I think they're gonna convince quite a number of customers to work with them, not for the show, but for the value, And I look forward to see the initial use case obviously paying off, on the 350 to be deployed with Renault, but then the many more that I see the customers around the world want to work on with them. So that's this application. And with this unique edge, make sure that they create also this unique position that will be very difficult for the others to take on.
It's clear that when you focus on the very important aspects of robotics, you can differentiate yourself with everyone else. When I hear about robotics, I think of this aspect of how it's going to integrate into my life. And I see a lot of content about Optimus, and I think about this idea that's been mentioned, which is, am I in the near future going to want to pay for a robot to be in my home? And I don't think that's kind of something that people really think about right now. But when we see that a robot is going to be sold at 20,000 and it's going to be able to do your basic chores, I don't really see how that's going to integrate into my life, but I know that future generations will. Because we want to stay creative, because we want to spend less time doing chores. And so it's going to be about how do we create new habits with these robots. Because it's clearly here to stay, and it's clearly here for the long haul. So I just hope it doesn't turn into Terminator.
It's interesting. I think there's a bit of exploration in there. Look, medical exo definitely addressing a big need. Industrial use, focusing on use case, addressing another one, and as use case will multiply, going from 2 to 5 to 10 to 50. Application will get big, and we've seen that in a number of field trip. Getting customer interest in very different industries. The question on personal use at home, there are two elements. Is the pace of acceptance from people to get robot at home doing stuff, and before that, it's actually the technological challenge to get robot be able to do these domestic tasks. Obviously, you can't get a robot in the home if it can only do one task. It's going to be more annoying than helping. But then, of course, putting glass in the dishwasher, it's something the robot need to learn. And then at home, there are two steps. Is you can do tasks, and then there will be the topic of taking care of people. Because you could imagine at some point it could take care of sick people, elderly people. But this is yet another level.
Of course.
Of, being careful, being very sensitive and nuanced in how the robot is going to maneuver himself. And technologically, it still needs a bit of a step. Don't think it's a question of 20 years or 50 years. But definitely a few more years before it gets there. And I know there are robots actually training on them. For the moment, with the robot training based on a human doing the task in the other room or close by, by the robot, so that the robot can actually learn by mimicking. But still, some more technological progress to make this one. TBD, when and how it's going to come. And let's see if players will be able to do everything, or if it's going to divide also the market. I think that's still something to watch. And again, coming back to Wondercraft, I mean, I'm very happy that they have a very focused approach as they try to develop the different segments. They master the exo, they move to the industrial humanoid. They don't try to move to doing everything at the same time, because obviously it takes focus.
I wanted to switch on another company inside our investment pool that you've been a part of for a while. It's a Belgian company from Wavre. And it's called Quantum Biospace, which has changed its name to Aquila. I want to talk about this because it kind of englobes all of our other companies, which is a venture builder. It's kind of interesting as we create startups and as we continue to work together. I've noticed that although thanks to what we've built in the last couple of years, we get to meet a lot of people, it's very lonely work. And I've noticed that to build a good team and to have the reliability, to have the reputation that you want, you need to go out and meet as many people as you should. And so investing in a venture builder is, I think, quite interesting, because that's what a lot of startups need for this initial boost. Whether it's a setting, whether it's financing, whether it's creating connections. I would love for you to tell some of the people why you decided to invest in this one, because I think there's quite a large ecosystem in Europe of venture builders, and maybe talk about some interesting success stories that you've had inside Aquila.
I'm very pleased about this question because for the last 2 years since you and I we have started to work together, a son with a father, or a father with a son. Obviously, it's not easy for me. It was completely new. Mm-hmm. But it's very interesting that we kind of share a lot. Sometimes it's very explicitly, sometimes it's more implicitly working together. But very often we are aligned in what we think. And as you were saying, I'd like to talk to you about another company. I had Aquila in my mind. Yeah. You came with Aquila in Belgium. So there is, and we'll come later in the podcast to talk about what it is to work between a son and a father, and actually a Gen X with a Gen Z. But this alignment, sometimes it's intuition, sometimes it's work plan, and sometimes it's just a good fit. This one I'm really pleased, excited. It gives me a lot of energy. Mm-hmm. And actually moving to Aquila, that yes is the new name of this venture builder. It's the Latin name for an eagle, because it has a vision very far, and of course a strategic vision, and a venture builder is obviously something that needs to look very far, but also with a very clear eye to spot different things that need to be done. Why invested in a venture builder and a venture builder in Belgium? First, look, I like to give back to where I'm coming from. I'm Belgium. I'm very proud of that. I lived a bit around the globe, pretty much everywhere, either living or working and traveling in my different capacity over the last 30 years. But definitely I studied in Belgium, studied in Louvain-la-Neuve, which is just 5 kilometers from Wavre. And I wanted in this investment to do something in Belgium, build on the quality of the ecosystem. So that's one. I think two, we've been talking a lot about AI, and having been for many years in healthcare, I really wanted to see how the promise of AI accelerating drug discovery could and will work. Mm-hmm. And I really moved from a bit of a more conditional to something that is more really happening. Because when I talk to friends who are, top AI people, they tell me, yes, given what AI can do, it is going to work. But obviously, it's a matter of figuring out how you can do that. And I wanted to, let's say, experience it by myself with a team around on how we can use AI to accelerate drug discovery and get it to maybe provide better targets and better candidates. So drug targets and drug candidates in different disease. So that's the second thing. So there is one, the place, two, the topic, and three, we actually met with the CEO of Aquila. This was a few years ago in a BioWin meeting.
BioWin?
BioWin, the Wallonia, association for the, biotech and healthcare innovation in Wallonia. And it was in this, speed dating session that we say, oh yeah, interesting profile, let's talk to each other. And that's how we got connected. We got to learn about each other. Then we reconnected a little bit after that. And then we decided to get into the adventure together. And I have to say that I've been very impressed about, what we have been able to do and to put together by what the CEO has been doing, Florence Bosco. Very impressed about the team we have around. And the last thing that we have always said is we want to use the best of the Belgian ecosystem.
Yep.
So from different university, from different investors, so really on, the Flemish side, the Wallonia side, some of it also in the Brussels region. So we want to use the best in Belgium, but also with the requirement that it needs to be world class. We don't just want to do Belgium because we are Belgian, but we want to make sure that it is world class, because at some point this venture, we will need investors that are world class investors and will compare us with others. And actually, we'd like to get major biotech or pharma to also invest and maybe buy some of the ventures we're gonna set up. So that's why actually we invested there. I'm really super excited, and then I'll put a bit of a teaser. I can't share the news yet, but some more news to come in terms of my involvement and the next step. I mean, very soon we'll get started with the next fundraising. So stay tuned.
It's interesting because it's not unknown to a lot of people that the Belgian innovation ecosystem is kind of fragmented between these parts, but you, with this venture builder, are trying to connect the best actors from all of Belgium, because kind of getting into how it's always been, whether it's politically or regarding some industries and innovation, you want to cut down these barriers and trying to connect as much top actors as you can inside of Belgium. So I think that's one of the interesting aspects, and I wanted to touch a little bit about maybe how this helps kind of going against the AI bubble. I was thinking of this just at the moment. Whenever there's a new big technology like that, investors will know there's people say there's a bubble, and a lot of the time a crash comes right after. But I think what's very surprising with AI is, yes, there's a bubble, but I'm not sure how long it's going to go because of the impact that it has, whether it's on jobs or the impact that it can have on certain industries. And I've noticed, I watched a graph earlier this year. It's for example, the S&P following the unemployment rate. And it's always been kind of connected regarding ups and downs. But with the release of general AI, we noticed that S&P has increased and unemployment has also increased, which is kind of interesting for new technology that's arrived. But I think it's creating a huge shift because there's a lot of applications. People do not know how to kind of use it or work around it. And I think a venture builder is the perfect setting to show people that you can use AI, you can implement it, and you can also employ people to better use this technology and kind of elevate your idea and execute it perfectly. So I think, that's a very interesting part of our portfolio, helping this kind of Wallonia and Belgium ecosystem, and also showing that there's real-world evidence and real-world projects where AI can have impact, and it doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be a huge crash after.
It's interesting. You asked this question, and maybe I'll mention two things. I mean, first, on Belgium, we also invested in a company that is on the other side of the let's say linguistic frontier in Belgium. It's more in the Flemish part. Linkscare, that is in Leuven, is also in this segment that I call new R&D model, which is how you can use AI in R&D, but this one is more linked to clinical trial and more linked to real world data, making the data that is there in the hospital system more accessible for companies to do a clinical trial. It's also an interesting one because obviously conceptually everybody understand that, but working with a company and try to do it in the real world was obviously very important. I mean, the idea, everybody agrees on that, getting a business moved to the level where it can, make it valuable, structure it, and make it sellable to big customers like Biotech, pharma, and CROs. I mean, it was a big step that the company now has passed. It was challenging, it's very clear. Now it has passed this step, so obviously on to scaling in the next phase, definitely. And one thing I would say with AI is obviously there is a lot of hype, there is a lot of promise, there is a lot of statements of people saying it's going to kill jobs, it's going to create jobs, it's going to be dramatic, it's going to be great. There is a need to experience by yourself, because AI is a big general word. There are different types of AI. AI is not 100% just ChatGPT or Claude or Mistral or DeepSeek. It's not just that. I mean, there are obviously other type of AI, and experience it for yourself. Basically, what you in your day-to-day you will use or you can use or is helping you, and not everybody needs the same thing. And then the second thing is that's the reason why we invested in Aquila and in Linkscare is seeing it for yourself, how this can concretely help and what is needed to make it work and create value. And that's definitely why we invested in Aquila. It's going to be a bit of a journey, but hopefully with AI, it's going to be a shorter journey with AI that maybe it used to be in pharma or biotech with the 7 years in discovery and maybe the 7 years in development.
I saw on our LinkedIn page, Take Care Your LinkedIn page, one post of someone saying, I'm annoyed that I use Claude or any type of LLM or agentic AI to do my creative work, and then all I have to do is my laundry and my dishes. It's kind of the opposite of what we're told, but it's true that a lot of the innovation with AI is around creativeness, whether it's design, whether it's content, any type of platform with Lovable, and all of these kind of different technologies also take away the time that we spend thinking about creative aspects of our world. So I think it's going to be very important to use AI to help us focus on what we want to focus. And if people do not want to spend time on design, it's great. But for those who want to be creative, they still have to have the right tools to be free of kind of this aspect.
Yeah, and you touch an important point, which is obviously all these very relevant debates on AI and what is the space for AI and what should you allow, not allow, and ethical, not ethical. There is one element that is important, and is learning to use AI. Because, maybe I'll say something a bit simple, but if you don't use AI, maybe AI is going to use you. And it's important to learn to use AI and make it useful for you. And of course, it's a journey. You're not going to become an expert from the very first day. You're not going to be clear and prioritizing what is useful, what is useless. But I really encourage people to make the effort, to use it. It's not easy. I can speak for myself. I mean, how do you take time to learn, Claude, or to learn other tools, or to design an AI system in an AI and drug discovery company or venture builder? It takes time, but it brings you to another level, completely other level, if you make the effort. And then you can select. You don't need to become suddenly an engineer or a coding expert, but at least, making the effort, selecting the tools that can be useful for you and your job, is going to make you, let's say, a well-informed, savvy user of it versus a passive player who just have to suffer AI wherever it gets to in your life. Because the question is not that AI is going to come. AI is already there. And I don't think you can really prevent, stop, or so on, because obviously you have trains going very fast. And if it's not in Europe, it's going to come from China and from US. And I'm a lot more convinced that if you get ahead of the race, you're going to more easily set the rules of the race than if you try to slow it down and stop it. And again, I think, coming back to Belgium, I mean, that's what I like in these also, is that these are really forward-looking and a bit leading-edge topics. We made actually a lot of progress over the last couple of years. I'm also super, super pleased. So very excited. I mean, you see this puzzle that we have started to assemble, with our investment. We talked about quality aging. We talked about robotics. We talk about this, new R&D model with AI. These are really on this very critical need in healthcare, and to really focused on companies that we believe can redefine the way we actually deliver healthcare. So yes, it's challenging some days, but we believe that by doing that, maybe we can contribute to creating a better world.
Great.